Let's see what happens if I try to hit Mike in the head with this tire
A successful defensive knife use.
Attack is already underway when our video starts. See, the guy who's facing us has a knife in his hand against 3 armed attackers against the side of his car. And he is looking both ways, trying to figure out who is doing what and trying to get in his car. Guy jumps at him when he does, but he gets a good slash at the guy. And now he's going to change to a long hold on the knife, and that's going to make those guys go, nah, I'm not interested in this dude no more. He's going to chase him off and get in his car. They decide it's not worth it. We're going to think about lessons.
It's a real tire iron.
Okay. This is not a real knife.
Oh, good.
So
Thanks.
Working with a trainer.
Yep.
Okay.
So that means I'm hoping that you win and I don't when we come to this. But if a right-handed person is attacking you and going to swing something and try to hit you in the head, are there a series of moves, base moves, the first thing you would teach somebody about defending themselves with a knife?
Yes. In Martial Blade Concepts, a system that I developed, what we learn is what we call a master technique. So it's the first thing that we learn. It kind of lays the foundation for all the other things that we teach. But it starts with one of the most common attacks you might run into, which is what we call an angle 1, which is that high forehand attack, attacking the upper left-hand portion of my body. Okay. It doesn't really matter what it is. Here we've got a tire iron. It could easily be you armed with a knife attacking me. It could be you with a rock, a brick. Doesn't really matter what it is. We just consider any attack coming to my upper left to be the same thing, an angle 1 attack.
Okay, and that's basically because most people are right-handed. We're coming, that big overhand punch or swing or something.
Right-handed
like that,
people attacking the head and neck, vulnerable areas of the body, and using gross motor skills, which most people, when they're in that homicidal rage, that's what's going to come out. It's not going to be a lot of finessey movement or anything else. So what we want to look at is basically building the technique. I want to have, first of all, my knife out in front.
Okay.
The reason for that is a lot of knife fighting systems will have the knife back here, especially military systems. And what they're looking at, basically, if you consider military knife fighting, why are you fighting with a knife if you're in the military? You should have much better toys than that.
Yeah, your rifle's gone, your sidearm's gone.
Exactly. So if you're down to the knife, what it means is I need to kill this other guy and take all his stuff because something's wrong with mine. As far as self-defense is concerned, we put it out front because our first target is going to be your grip on the weapon. So when you go to attack with that angle 1, first of all, I'm getting out of the way. Okay, so this is the most important thing. I've got to do this part right. As I'm doing that, what I'm also going to look at, one more time, please, is basically cutting you on the forearm. So the muscles of your forearm pull on the tendons here. That's what allows your fingers to close and for you to have a grip on that weapon. Ideally, if I cripple your hand right there with that cut, that clangs to the ground, we're done. Because at that point, you're unarmed. I've got a knife. I'm no longer legally justified in cutting on you.
I couldn't believe how quickly that was. I mean, I was even going slow for form, and your cut was
boom. That's right.
That's all it takes.
Exactly. If that doesn't finish the fight, my next target priority is going to be your bicep tricep. And since I followed through on a forehand motion here, what I'm looking at is cutting the tricep here. Cutting the tricep will keep you from being able to extend your elbow again. Okay. So even if you rechamber to hit me again, you don't have the muscle necessary to try to hit me. Simply doesn't work. Okay,
so I'm really motivated. Now this takes away the second strike that I might be coming back.
Exactly. Now I don't want to just guarantee it with this. When I cut here, what I want to make sure of is that you're not going to come back at me because I'm to the outside of your body now. So if I can limit your mobility to one joint by basically coming in and checking your arm, you can see that you're a little bit off balance here. Already. And it's hard for you to come back because I have control over your arm. I've limited your mobility to just your shoulder joint. And I'm also on the outside of your body, so your left hand is way over there. It's not going to pose any problem for me. Yep. Now this is really the mobility kill. This is how we finish the technique. So from this follow through here, what I do is I would actually be thrusting into the inside of the leg, turning while the blade is in the flesh, and essentially applying downward pressure, cutting through the quadricep.
And I've lost my will to fight at that point, even if I had any ability.
Well,
we're talking three.
What it comes down to with this cut here specifically, and you could feel how that's disrupting your balance. Yep. Cutting that quadricep muscle just above the knee. First of all, when you look at putting this into realistic context, if you had somebody who, let's say it's wintertime, got heavy clothing on, there's no guarantee that these cuts are going to do the job. But even a heavy jacket is going to stop right about here. Okay. All the keys and coins and change and everything in your pocket stops about here. So this first 8 inches or so above the knee, typically one layer of cloth in the jeans or in the pant leg. The muscle also narrows here, so you don't have to cut that deep. So again, when you consider the fact that you're fighting with the knife you actually carry, something that's small and legally permissible, basically this is about like cutting through an average steak. It's about 3/4 of an inch deep, a few inches wide. So if I cut that quadricep muscle, you have no mobility.
And that's exactly what we want people to do, is create enough dysfunction to get away.
Exactly. So when we put those pieces together, if you take a swing, please, we could cut, check, and cut the leg. You can see those happen pretty quickly. A lot of people will look at that.
2 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. We want to shut somebody down as quickly as possible. And what I find is once we get students moving on this technique, they start to learn the body mechanics, they learn how to move from side to side, generate that power, and they realize the destructive power of the sharp edge. They learn it very quickly. So what we do is we build this as our foundation, and then we use this technique to teach everything else that we do in the system.
And I really think it's a matter of changing your thinking. We're not stabbing somebody in the chest or the abdomen or anything like that. We are legitimately taking away the tools that they're going to use to attack us.
Exactly. And what we also have to go along with that now is a strong chain of logic as far as the actions that we take in self-defense. Why did you cut him here? I was trying to take away this physical function that allowed him to be deadly and dangerous to me. Why'd you cut him here? Same thing. You could literally have that logic that explains this would take away his grip, this takes away coordinated motion of the arm, that takes away his mobility. At that point, I can create distance and create safety.